Hello everyone, welcome to my channel dedicated to everything related to broiler poultry farming. And today we want to talk about how you can avoid deaths in the brooder, how you can avoid your birds from dying when you're brooding. So the first thing that you need to know to avoid deaths in the brooder is when your birds are bought from not a reputable supplier, you find like you have a lot of mortalities. Because what usually happens is that some of the birds, if you just collect from suppliers who are not reputable, you find like they've got a poor genetic. And if your birds have got a poor genetic, you find like the mother stock that produced those chicks that you bought, they had a disease, and that disease was transferred to your chicks. That disease usually kills your birds because they are not strong enough, their immune system is not good enough, so they kill those birds. So it is important to buy your chicks from a reputable supplier. That should be your number one thing. Then number two, stress. Sometimes I found like poultry farmers, you find like the supplier has brought the chickens, then those chickens have come maybe around 9 hours, then the poultry farmers are going to correct their chicks around 17, around 16, around 15. Your birds are stressing, and it's not right to have your birds stay at the supplier's shop for a long time, because that supplier is not going to give them the warm food they need. They will just maybe put the boxes outside the shop, or maybe outside or anywhere where it's not safe. So make sure sometimes when you are going to correct your birds, to make sure that they are not stressing, you collect them very fast. Immediately when they call you to say, oh, your birds are in, come and collect them, make sure you go there and correct them very fast to avoid your birds from stressing, because at some point you find your birds are stressing because they've been crying all day until 15, 17. That's not good. So you have to make sure you collect your birds very fast. And then if we talk about stress, that also goes to when your birds feel cold. When your birds start feeling cold, they die. And the reason why they die is because their immune system is weakened when they're feeling cold. So during that time when the birds are there at the supplier's shop, please go and collect them before they catch a cold, so that you avoid deaths in your brooder. Another stress is heat stress. When your birds are in the brooder and then you don't have thermometer, you are just heating the room, you don't even know how much temperature you are having in that room. It causes the birds, they will start gasping for air, and when they gasp for air, they lose a lot of water in their body because they become dehydrated. And when they become dehydrated, and if you are not there to check them around, you'll find that your birds will start dying, which is not good at all. So make sure you provide your birds with a thermometer in the room. And then another thing, even during transportation, because that causes stress to the birds. During transportation, you have to make sure you use the correct transportation to transport your birds from the supplier to your poultry. These chicks are small. I found like some poultry farmers, they'll book a canter, then they'll put them behind. Then the canter is moving and hair is growing like at a rapid state. So your chicks will get that hair which is just growing at them the moment you're moving, especially if you're moving a long distance. That affects your birds and they start dying. So you have to make sure transportation, you book even a cab, so that you just put them behind where they will be closed, where there won't be a lot of hair there, so that you avoid gut stress. Number 3, lighting. This is very important to your chicks. Lighting is number 1. When you bring in your chicks, make sure you have bright lights in the poultry. This is why they advise you, like where your chickens are, you have to be there, and you are able to read a magazine, or I can say a newspaper is readable with the light that is in the poultry. Because chickens need to eat and they need to see the food where it is at all times. Because if chickens are eating, their immune system is getting boosted to fight diseases. And if you don't have enough light, that means your chicks won't eat well, and that means your birds will not have the immune system which can survive the diseases that can come in. Because that feed that you're giving them, it boosts up the immune system to protect the chicken. So if you don't have enough light whereby you have only a small light, chickens won't eat well and they'll start dying. Then another thing is, I've seen poultry farmers, they have just infrared lights in the poultry as their lighting as well as their heating source. That is not okay. You have to make sure you have your heating sources. Those who are using infrareds, you put your infrareds, you also put a bright light that will show everywhere, whereby even when you look at the chicken from afar, you're able to see like, oh, that chicken is there, is behaving like this. You're able to see clearly because your chickens need to see well. So never underestimate the power of lighting in your poultry. Light is very important in your poultry because it will help your birds to eat well, and they'll have the best immune system that can help them to survive the diseases that might come in. And then another thing, we can say carelessness. There are some people who say, no, I woke up late, I wouldn't wake up at night so that I should feed the chickens, or maybe I should give them light because we are brooding these chicks. So at night we need to wake up about 3 times to 4 times if possible. It depends with the weather, the way it is, but you have to wake up. So there are some people who give excuses to say, no, I overslept, I was tired. When it comes to this business of broiler keeping chickens during brooding, you have to be there all the time. It doesn't matter like, no, I had visitors, they needed me. You have to take care of this business, because if you do that, that is carelessness. You need to make sure you are there for the birds, you are there for your chicks, so that they have a healthy care. No, it was raining, I couldn't move from the house to go to the poultry. That is long. You have to find a way to make sure your birds are in good condition. You have to find it. Okay? So, and then another thing, this is our number 5 point. Infections. Infections kill our birds. When we have a poultry house which was not disinfected, we find like there's some bacteria, there are some diseases which remained from the previous flock. So you need to make sure you disinfect the room so that infections are not available in that room, because infections, they kill our birds. And then another thing, you need to make sure your litter is dry. You need to make sure your beddings are dry, because if your beddings are wet, infections will start building up, diseases will start building up, and then they will attack your chicks. Because your chicks are still young, their immune system is not yet boosted up, they'll get affected very fast and they'll die. Number 6, I can say accidents. When we are having these small chicks, they are fragile, and most chicks when they're still young, when you step in, they'll come to you, trying to come to you so that because they are not aware that you might cause danger to them. So this is why you don't have to enter with gumboots in the brooder, or even shoes. We advise each and every poultry farmer to enter in their poultry barefooted so that they can feel, because if you have shoes, you can't feel like there's a chicken close. But if you are barefoot, the moment you're about to step on a chicken, you are able to feel, to say, oh, I'm about to step on a chicken, then you can move back. It's easy that way. So to avoid accidents, you don't wear anything. You just go in, just enter with your bare legs without wearing anything. But if you are that person who doesn't want to step on poo-poo, like, okay, for us poultry farmers, we accepted that this is our thing. So we go in, we even step there, then we wash our legs when going out. But if you don't want that, you can just buy some stockings, you wear them, because stockings, at least when you are done walking around there, you can remove them. Then you can be using them to enter there, but don't enter with gum boots, don't enter with safety boots, because you can't feel, and accidents are easily caused that way. Sometimes you find like you have to be careful the moment you are putting in your drinkers in the poultry, so that you don't have to put on chicks, because chicks they'll just run to you, then you put on them. So you have to make sure you check everything so that your chicks are not being stepped on, or your chicks are not being put on the drinkers and the feeders. Because I remember there was a time I was trying to put boxes in my poultry. I had to put on 3 chicks. The moment I was putting, I couldn't say I had to put on 3 chicks. I even started stepping on the boxes. Then I found them die, which was bad for me. It was a loss for me, and I feel bad when chicks die at such an accident. So I regret doing that. So we have to be careful there. Then another and very important thing, ventilation. Just because you are brooding your chicks, it doesn't mean you have to cross everywhere without leaving space where fresh air can come in, just because you're trying to contain the warm flow of the room. That is wrong. You have to make sure there's some space, like a gap, where air is coming in and then the other air is going out. You have to make sure ventilation is good enough, so that the air is going out and the air is coming in, so that there's an exchange of air. Because at some point you find, like in the poultry, if there's a shortage of oxygen, your chicks might suffocate. And at some point, your chicks at an earlier stage, they'll start having water belly, because there is not enough oxygen in the poultry, which is bad. So make sure you have some place, like some space where aeration is coming. Make sure that is in place. Lastly but not least, when putting in charcoal, your heat source, if you are using charcoal, this point is emphasized on those who are using charcoal for brooding. You have to make sure your charcoal is fully red. You don't have to put in charcoal which is not fully red, because when you put in where charcoal is, just because you're trying to maintain, like the moment this will finish, at least it has warmed up the room. No, if the charcoal needs to finish from outside, just to have that ready brazier to go in, you have to do that, because we don't want to have carbon monoxide in the poultry, because it will suffocate the chickens and it will affect the chickens, and at some early stage again you will find like your chickens will start having water belly. Just imagine having your chicks at 4 weeks, then they start having water belly. That is not good. So to avoid carbon monoxide, make sure you write up your charcoal in red. It's really red, whereby if you see it, it's red, then there's no smell of ammonia. As poultry farmers, we can smell like, oh, there's still that smell of, sorry, I mean carbon monoxide. You can smell to say, oh, there's carbon monoxide here. So you make sure it's red, the whole carbon monoxide is out, so that you avoid your beds from suffocating, or your beds to start having water belly in the airy edges. So guys, that's it. And if this made sense to you and you've learned something from this video, please like the video, share it to others, so that they can have also this information that you are having. And those who are new to this channel, please consider subscribe to my channel, so that you can be having notifications each and every time when I put up a new video. And each and every video is very important to you as a poultry farmer. So make sure you subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.